Hey guys, hope y'all doing good today. So we're just going to give it a few minutes for everyone else to get in here, but basically we're going to talk about the overall market. I'm going to cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Hype, a lot of the main altcoins, where I think they're going from here, and a few catalysts I'm looking forward to in the crypto market so that you can continue to stay one step ahead. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So first I see Kikwaju in here. Looking forward to seeing you here, man, and hopefully continue to see you here for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be a consistent live stream schedule. For those who don't know, it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 12 p.m. CST. I'll be giving these live streams, basically giving you an overview of the markets so that you can continue to stay one step ahead, as well as answer any questions you guys may have, because the market has been extremely volatile, and I know people are frustrated with that volatility and how people are constantly taking profit, and we're not really getting that main pump, so I'll go and cover that as well. But first, let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now is at 96,700. Now, anytime we try to get above 100,000, it quickly goes below it. Looking at where it's at right now, the RSI on the daily is, still looking like it wants to curve back to the upside. It's right around that 42 level, which if you look in the past, it's gotten to this level 41, 42, and then it's bounced nearly every time since October of last year. So this is a very important level that we need to bounce at. Now, also the stochastic RSI is oversold as well. So this looks like it's hopefully is going to curve to the upside soon. Again, anytime stock RSI has been oversold, we have gotten a nice little bounce from that, especially on the daily. So this is why I tell people you want to be on these high time frames to get the most accurate support resistance levels, as well as looking at the indicators, because whenever these indicators are oversold on the daily, when you're looking for longs, then what you can do after that is then go to the lower time frames and then get an accurate entry. So for example, right now we're looking at the stochastic RSI, it's oversold. Now, if we go to the 4-hour, which is another main time frame people like to use to trade, then you can see here that if you had waited when the stock RSI was actually oversold on the 4-hour, then that would have given you a nice entry on Bitcoin, getting at 96,500 all the way up to 99,000. Okay, so you see how that works? Basically, when you see oversold on the higher time frames, that's when you actually go to lower time frames for confluence. Then when that gets oversold, basically both time frames are in confluence, and then you have more of a high chance to get that bounce accordingly. So the RSI right now, again, is still in the middle on the 4-hour. So technically we could still continue dropping here. Now, what I was looking for Bitcoin on the recent drop, whenever we had this huge wick down, was for it to go just below that 89,000 level, get out some stops, and then continue to the upside. We didn't quite get there. We got to around 91.8K. So again, right now what I'm looking at is potentially some more ranging here. I'm not in a rush to buy anything right now. I will say that. I'm going to wait until at least 92K down here, because if you look, this 96K level that we're at right now, you know, it's been support in December. I mean, barely, but really what you want to look for is that major support where you have a lot of touches. So here around this 92K, it held a support in January, held a support in December, and then also it held in support in the beginning of December and also November. And then it was resistance in the middle of November here. So this is what you want to look for when you're trading, okay? So never rush to get in a trade right away. And then also looking at the moving averages I have. So this blue line here is the 21 EMA. So for anyone who is wondering how to add EMAs, all you do is just type in EMA. So I'm on TradingView. So type in EMA, click on indicators, EMA, and then moving average exponential. And then you click that and it'll give you a little exponential moving average. And then all you do is just double click it. And then from there you can change to 21. You can change the style of it, which I like to use a little bit thicker line so I can see it. And then you can change the color as well to whichever color you want. But again, for this video, we're just going to remove this one that I just added. So there. But the 21 EMA is a good one. I find it does act as some type of support resistance line. Again, it's not always foolproof, but if you look at the past, if you scroll down here, Bitcoin did bounce off of it here in November, also bounced off of it in October. And then scrolling back, you can see that the 200 EMA acted as major support as well. So the 200 EMA is a very important one. Think of it as a long-term moving average and also acting as a support resistance line. So where is the trend going? Are we long-term bullish or are we long-term bearish? Right now, these are still curving to the upside. So I have the 200, which is purple. I have the 100 EMA, which is yellow. And then the 50 EMA, which is green. And then the blue, which is the 21 EMA. So I recommend at the very least, having the 200 EMA on your chart, because the 200 EMA does usually act as support or resistance, as we've seen here. So definitely have it on your chart. Whenever the price crosses above it, that's when you can expect a change in the trend. Again, it's not always foolproof like you've seen here. It can cross back below it. But if it continues to bounce off of it, like we've seen here once, twice, where it's bounced off of the 200 EMA, that's when you can say, okay, maybe now we're changing in the trend, and then we start going to the upside. Okay, so just a little TA advice for you guys who are trying to leverage trade and trying to use EMAs as a way to leverage trade. So next, like I said, I'm looking for Bitcoin at 92K. Now, if Bitcoin continues to drop, then we could have this in play here, where we sweep the lows, because 90K is a big level people are looking at. So we sweep the lows, and then we get to that 89, 88K level, and then curve back to the upside. Okay, so if we don't hold this 92K level, like if we go below these wicks, like this last wick that we had that went down to 91.2K, if we go below that, then I'm imagining we're going to go below 89 to get some stops and then curve back to the upside. Now, if we continue lower, because I've seen fractals of 2021, where basically we continue lower and that would take us to around 73K by May, which no one wants to see that, but that's always a possibility. And so if we continue lower, next support level I'd be looking at is 85K, followed by 80K, and then 73.9K. Okay, because if you look at the back here, we can actually go to the weekly chart, because I like to look at the weekly for support as well. Is this 74K level was the recent high in March of this year. So this is why I like to look at this. So the previous high usually ends up being the support. So that's why the 74K level is very, very important. Also coincides with the 50 EMA on the weekly. So again, a little confluence there. But yeah, 74K would be the fully bet everything, in my opinion. If we get down to this level, there's going to be a lot of people scared. But yeah, 74K would be definitely a great level if we get down there. But again, just taking it one step at a time, looking for about 92, and then below there at around 89. Now looking at some comments. So we see Shawcat, big fan from the trenches. Hey Shawcat, glad to have you here. If you got any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below. And if you guys have any advice for these live streams, definitely let me know. I try to give you guys the best info I can. Again, I haven't been as active on YouTube. That's going to change Tuesday through Thursday, 12 p.m. CST. We're going to do these live streams to keep you guys apprised of what's going on. CMT said, let's go. Hey, glad to have you here, CMT. Okay, now looking at resistance for Bitcoin, and then I'll go towards Ethereum, Solana, Hype, and a few other big altcoins. But resistance is going to be obviously 100K. Okay, everyone's looking at 100K. It's the big line in the sand, you could call it. Right now, we do have the 50 EMA just above us at 98.8K, and then the 21 EMA at 100K on the daily. So if we can get and close above 100K, that's when you can see we do have some positive momentum after that. That usually follows. Now, after 100K, then I look at 106K, which is the major resistance here, as we've rejected twice off of it, once in December and then once at the end of January. So 106K is a big level. And then also, I have this huge resistance line on the weekly. So if you scroll back, I actually drew this resistance line from December of 2017, the highs that we had in Bitcoin at 20K. And if you connect that trend line, you can actually see it intersected with the highs in April and March of 2021, and then also in November of 2021. So it acted as resistance. And then even look at this, acted as resistance again in December and again in January. So guys, this is why it pays to zoom out, especially on the weekly, because the weekly has very good support levels and very good resistance levels. They are respected because that's a week's worth of data in one candle. So the higher the time frame, the more significant it's going to be in terms of support and resistance. So that's why this trend line has been respected for literally 7.5 to 8 years. So now what we're seeing is, I'm imagining that if we do end up continuing higher and breaking above that 106K resistance, we're still going to encounter resistance at this weekly trend line. Now, why this trend line is significant, obviously besides being big resistance, is because the moment that we cross above this trend line is the moment that we actually end up going into new territory, and really that's when you can start raising your price target. So let's just say we continue higher, reject off of this, and then finally break it, reject, and then finally reject higher like this. What you would want to see is a retest of the trend line resistance as support and then continuing higher from here. Okay, this is what you would want to see if we start to go higher and break this trend line. You want to see it retest as support and then continue higher, because if it doesn't, if it just breaks above and then continues down, that is a false break and that does not count. So you always want to see that retest of support whenever you're breaking these long-term trend lines. Now, if we end up breaking this trend line and retesting it as support, like I said, raise your targets after that. Because right now, what I'm looking at is a conservative target. If you go on the weekly, I'm expecting the highs to be in around October. Based off the global liquidity cycle, the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, and monetary policy, every 4 years is usually when we top. So that would put us at about October of this year, which you can see, if you overlap the vertical line, that'd be about 117 to 120K. So I'm expecting conservatively 120K Bitcoin. Now, yes, we could go higher. Yes, we could go lower. But conservatively, if you follow this trend line, that's where we would point at. So just keep that in mind. That's why if we break and close above this trend line, then all bets are off. We could go a lot higher. That's when you can start seeing targets being 150K, 200K, 250K, right? But for now, you guys always want to be realistic. Look at the data. That's what I always preach. So always keep that in mind. But yeah, keep this trend line in your head, because as we get closer to it, usually we reject, so it could be good shorting opportunity. So definitely, guys, watch this chart and watch this trend line. Next, let's go over Ethereum. So Ethereum's been a fun coin. It's really been underperforming for the past 2.5 years. We'll go over the ETH BTC chart as well, where it basically compares it to Bitcoin. But it's been underperforming for the past 2.5 years. Now, there's been some signs that it may start outperforming, and I'll talk about that as well. But on the daily chart here, we do have resistance. You can see previous resistance turned support of about 2750. Now, I did get bullish as Ethereum closed above this 2750 level on the daily, but literally the next day, i.e. today, it went and closed below it. So again, even though Ethereum had a huge wick to the downside at 2170 and it got bought up, still it's continuing its downtrend. So what I will say with Ethereum, I do still think it's going to outperform soon. I do still, again, that's like a broken record for anyone who's trying to trade Ethereum or who's held it for this long of a time. People keep saying it's going to start outperforming. There's going to be alt season, etc. A couple reasons for the recent bounce, for those who aren't aware, was Eric Trump actually tweeted about people should buy Ethereum. So let me go ahead and cover that real quick. So he actually posted, where is it at? So if you scroll down, he actually posted that it's a good time to buy. Now, he may have deleted, okay, here we go. in my opinion, it's a great time to add ETH. This was February 3rd. Now, before this, he actually had something at the end of this that said, you'll thank me later. But he deleted that and edited the post to just be, in my opinion, it's a great time to add ETH. So whatever that means, I know that World LibertyFi has been buying a lot of Ethereum. You can see here that they have over $180 million worth. It's over 55,000 Ethereum, which is insane. But it's their biggest holding. So yes, they're going to bull post it, but there could be something on the horizon that could cause this rise. And so that's why I say always look at the data, guys. Look what the big players are doing. If Eric Trump is tweeting it's a great time to add Ethereum, I would assume that he knows something and not just posting for the sake of posting, but we'll have to see. I mean, this was 3 days ago. So Ethereum, yes, I think at this time, I have to see exactly what time this was. So 4:23 p.m. my time, February 3rd. So I think that was actually around 2750 or 2800. If we look here, we'll just go quick on the hourly and see exactly when he posted that. So 4:23 p.m. on February 3rd. So yeah, so it was around right here. It was around 2800, 2830. So yeah, it's below where he said. Now, honestly, Ethereum was pumping, so he probably bull posted it there. But nonetheless, I am looking for some type of bullish news on Ethereum. Until then, potentially, it may start underperforming again. It has been outperforming for the past few days, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But we'll also look at ETF flows because those have actually been pretty good. But looking at support resistance levels for Ethereum, so if it closes below 2750, the next one I'll look at is 2600. But really, 2500 is probably a little bit more important, I would say. If you look at the weekly chart here, this 2750 is a big level on Ethereum. And actually, we may start to change some of these SR lines here because I'm just kind of looking at realistically what would be the big support levels here. And really, you want to see probably about 2370. That'd really be an important level, and then 2750. So, yeah. So really, I mean, there's a few, you could say, technically, let's see. I mean, technically, you could say 2500. That could be a level, right? Because you do have, I mean, if you look at right here, we did have a little support, rejected, and then if you follow it to the left here, there was some rejection, and then support. So I would say around 2520, that could be a level. But besides that, I would not try to front run Ethereum here for a long. I would wait at the very least until around 2500, and then from there, 2370, I'd say would be a more important level. So it's kind of micro support here about 2500. But yeah, I'd look at 2370, play some limit orders there. And then below that, 2170. Great support. You can see how strong it's been in the past. So keep an eye on that. And then resistance for Ethereum. So like I said, if it closes below 2750, now obviously 2750 is going to be a big resistance level because it rejected in October, rejected in August, and rejected in the beginning of August. So 2750 is a big level. And then also 2850. So it did act as support on the daily, and then it couldn't hold above that, and it broke below. So 2750 to 2850, big resistance. And then obviously this 3000 level is going to be a big area of contention because it has acted as support since November of last year. And then once it broke it recently, then again, it's been pretty bearish. So what I would do is just place some bids here at probably 2370. I would say just to be on the safe side. And then if we break below that, then 2170 is a great level there. Now, looking at the chat, we have Anmol says, thoughts on Brett on base. So, yeah, let's go ahead and check out Brett real quick. And then we'll go ahead and finish up on a few altcoins there. So, yeah, meme coins have been getting wrecked, guys. Like, anyone who's trying to trade memes lately, it's just been a bloodbath. People have been taking profits as quickly as we've had the pumps. So, yeah, I would say if you're trading memes, just please be careful. Like I said, it's a very rotation-heavy market right now. Don't rush to trade any meme coins. Like, I would say if you have some good info or some influencers are about to pump a coin, fine, you can buy it there. But if you're literally just trying to buy and hold some of these memes, it is very risky because in an uncertain market, the first thing to go is riskiest assets. And the riskiest assets are meme coins. And so even though you have these big blue-chip meme coins, like, no one cares. They're still getting sold off into. And so with Brett looks, actually this isn't the chart for Brett. Let me look at the aerodrome one right here. Okay, just looking at the volume. Okay, so for Brett, what I would say is, I mean, it's breaking through here. Yeah, like the next big resist or support level, I would say 2.8 cents. That's where it bounced off of last time. I would not touch it until 2.8 cents. You know, it's just not a strong performer right now. So 2.8 cents is where I would be buying it if I was looking to buy, which I'm not. And then resistance would be 4.7 cents and then 6.4 cents. So that's what I'd be looking at for Brett. Well, now let's go ahead and continue with Ethereum again. So with Ethereum, I was talking about the ETF inflows as well. Why I was originally bullish on Ethereum the past few days is because if you look, and let's go ahead and refresh the page here. So if you look, Ethereum had $307 million worth of inflows on February 4th. This is the third largest inflows that it's had since inception. And so this caught my attention and why we were seeing Ethereum starting to outperform versus Bitcoin. Now, what this means is institutions were buying it, okay? I know World Liberty Fi was buying some. BlackRock was buying a lot. I mean, 276 million here. So, obviously, institutions are still bullish on Ethereum, but that still wasn't enough. The market continues to go down. Now, the day after, a measly 18 million. So, back to where it was earlier, right? So, that's why I'm still hesitant on Ethereum. I am still bullish long term, but the fact that, again, it didn't really sustain these inflows and it just went back to the low, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence. So for Ethereum right now, I'm just waiting until A, it reclaims this 2750 resistance, or B, we can get down to this 2370 level to buy some, because that'd be a good risk reward wise. So let's see. Shawcat says, bro, what do you think of Trump? My average is $36. Will it go up? So Trump is another coin where, and after this, guys, we're going to go over Solana, Hype, the ETH BTC chart, and a few others. So I'm just taking questions in the middle of it. If you have any questions, leave them below, and then I'll answer them throughout the stream. But yeah, for Trump, this was another one that everyone was thinking Trump was just going to keep going up, okay? Because obviously it's the president's token. How can he not support it? Everyone's going to be asking him about it all the time. He's going to have to talk about it. Like, there are all these theories. Unfortunately, they did not come to fruition. Now, I thought, to be honest, I thought Trump would at least hold $20, which it has not. So now what I'm looking at is, I mean, you do have some support. I mean, right now I would say support is around 1660. So if we break 1660, then we're going to at least, you know, $15, and then $11 would be the next, probably 10 to 11 was the next major support. But yeah, I mean, resistance right now is just below $20. If it were me, you said you're holding at 36. That's pretty rough. I mean, some of these plays, you just got to cut your losses, right? Like, what I would do if I were you is if we lose this 1660 level, like if we close below this on the 4 hour, then I'd probably get out. I'd probably get out. I mean, unfortunately, you would take a 60% loss, but there's no telling how low this is going to go if the market doesn't get better. And it's almost at this point, you know, getting out. And if you want to buy, I would say buy near $10 would probably be the best risk reward. But still, I mean, I'm waiting to see some strength on Trump because it really hasn't been performing at all. I could say technically we may have, potentially a downtrend line here. So let me go ahead and erase this. So technically we do have a downtrend. You can see trend line resistance on Trump multiple times. So yeah, if we can break this to the upside, so call it right now, it'd be, I mean, honestly, if we, you know, broke it above $19.50 to $20 and we closed above it on the 4 hour, then I would start getting bullish. Then I would start looking for something like this and then going higher from here. That's what I'd look for if we start breaking above this trend line. But we need to close above, and then that's when things will start getting interesting. Until then, it looks like this trend line has been holding. And if we extend it out, I don't think it's going to extend out. Yeah, it's not going to go up here. But the fact is that it has become established so far. Does show you that's rejected multiple times. So this is somewhat of a significant trend line on the 4 hour. So yeah, either A, closing below 1660 on the 4 hour, or B, breaking above this trend line versus, you know, getting out or continuing to hold. Those would be my two metrics. All right, let's go back to ETH. I said I'd go over the ETH BTC chart. So this is comparing Ethereum's performance to Bitcoin. Now, I mentioned Ethereum's been underperforming for the past 2.5 years. So if you look at September of 2022, you can see that literally on ETH BTC, it's been rejecting from this trend line. Guys, this is the important trend line you need to be watching. Go to the weekly, go to September 2022 on ETH BTC, which is comparing Ethereum against Bitcoin, and draw this trend line here. Because once we break this trend line, that's when, in my opinion, alt season is going to start. Ethereum's going to outperform Bitcoin, and you're going to see everything go crazy. Now, could this be, not happen until May, and we have Bitcoin continue to bleed with Ethereum and other alts? Yes. But I am still watching potentially, stair-stepping higher to get to this trend line. Now, there's a few things as well that I want to point out. One, this level that we bounced at on ETH BTC, 0.026. If you scroll back, this was a major support. So I'm going to zoom out here. On December of 2020, this 0.026 level. This was a major support, and it was resistance before that. So that's why it pays to watch these pair charts, because a lot of times people look at these for looking at when coins show relative strength to each other. So even like Sol ETH, right? Comparing Solana against Ethereum, or ETH Sol, or Sol BTC. Like, these charts actually have significance when you're comparing them versus other majors. So make sure you guys are looking at these as well, because they can tell you when a coin is going to start outperforming, i.e. when ETH is going to start outperforming versus Bitcoin or any other major alt against others. So what I'm looking at right now is this huge bounce off the 0.26 level, and that's why I'm looking at Ethereum potentially starting to outperform Bitcoin. Now, also, if you look at some other big people who have been talking about this, Benjamin Cohen, his is @into the cryptoverse. Follow him if you aren't. This guy is one of the smartest macro analysts for crypto that I know. He is very accurate in his analysis. Yes, he's been wrong sometimes, but he's very, very accurate. So definitely follow him if you haven't. Into cryptoverse. That's what his is. Now, I'll actually post this in the chat just so you guys can follow him. But yeah, he posted just the other day. He said, for a while now, we have talked about how ETH BTC may capitulate into the timing of whenever the supply of ETH reaches the pre-merge supply. That has now happened, and take a look at the ETH BTC chart. So basically what he's saying is the supply of ETH, you can see since the merge, so it did reach a low, and then it has curved back to the upside, and now has reached pre-merge levels for the ETH supply. Now with that, he's saying that this could potentially mark the bottom of ETH BTC. Now, it's just a metric that he was looking at. Again, if there's any significance to it, we'll have to see. But he's usually pretty good with these pair trades and predicting bottoms and tops. So you can see here, he even was pointing to this big significant level, the 0.26, 0.25 level. So if we bottom out here on ETH BTC, then this would make sense, and this would come to fruition. So he posted, and look, he's quoting a tweet that he had July 19th of 2024, saying, if the supply of ETH keeps increasing by 60K per month like it has been since April, then by December, the supply will be back to what it was at the merge. Could be a narrative that people focus on later this year when they should actually focus on monetary policy. And then he talks about threads. So he covers monetary policy versus crypto, which actually is very accurate in predicting tops and bottoms. But the fact that this could potentially mark the bottom of ETH BTC is something that you should definitely pay attention to. So that's why I'm watching this ETH BTC chart, and why potentially we could mark a bottom here. Now also, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the stream. In the bottom left, you'll see the Blowfin exchange. I'm a partner with them, and also I'm working with Tyrell, who's the crypto king. If you guys aren't following him on X, definitely do so. He is one of the biggest streamers in crypto. He goes live nearly all the time. 35K followers on X, the crypto king with K's _. So definitely follow him if you aren't. But his referral link is also in the description. So guys, if you aren't signed up for Blowfin, definitely do so. Blowfin is actually one of the top exchanges that I like to trade at because it's non-KYC. It's very cheap. So definitely trade at Blowfin. Sign up for the link in the description. And if you guys have any questions, let me know on that. Now also, let's look at USDT dominance. So this is another pairing that everyone should be watching as well, because USDT dominance measures the strength of stablecoins versus the overall market. Meaning, if we have dominance rising, people are getting out of Bitcoin and altcoins and investing into stables. Whereas if it's falling, then people are getting out of stables and buying Bitcoin and altcoins. So you want this to be dropping for a bullish sentiment. So if you look at the past here, January of 2018, I drew this trend line support. Remember, this is just like the Bitcoin trend line that was predicting all the tops since 2017. So this trend line support has held since 2018 of January. Now, whenever we had the break in November, that's when you had everything send, right? Altcoins are going up 10, 20, 30% every day. Meme coins are ripping. Everything was just flying. Since then, it's gotten a little more uncertain. So what I mean by that is we've broken above this trend line, now being resistance, but we haven't stayed above it, and then we went back to the downside. And then we broke above it again, which you can see right now. So that's why we're seeing a lot of altcoins and Bitcoin drop, because people are getting more into stables right now. This dominance is increasing. And so this is a little concerning for me, because we were staying below it for a while, but now we're closing back above it, which could mean potentially this may have been a false breakout. We're going to stay in this range again and basically continue to chop until, May, June, July, and then we break below it again and then really start alt season from there, which I'll show you guys a fractal that Ansem posted. It's a 2021 fractal, and it shows this dropping until May. So I'll show you guys that as well. Again, I'm trying to provide you guys with as much data as possible, because if you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail. So you want to make sure that you guys are preparing as much as possible in this market, especially with all the uncertainty and volatility that's been happening. But anyway, looking at USDT dominance. So it's broken back above into this trend line support. So what I would like to see is for the weekly to close below it. Now, today, at the time of this live stream, it's Thursday. So closing below it, we have 3 more days for it to close. So yes, it can still close below it. Yes, we can still pump. But if we close above this, that's going to be a little concerning. Then what I would look for at the very least is I would like to see it close below this resistance here at 4.5%. If we can close below this previous support turn resistance, then I will still maintain my bullish sentiment in the market. If we close above this 4.5% on the weekly, then that will get a little concerning. And you can see here, I would look for us to at least retest this 5% level, which was previous resistance, turned support, now hopefully turned resistance again. And so, guys, these are the big levels to watch. 4.5% and 5%. If we close below 4.5%, very bullish. Look for us to go back to the downside. If not, then probably a little bit higher until 5%, which would mean a bleeding on alts. So literally, we have 3 days on the weekly, and that'll tell us a lot in the market, because again, these levels have been tried and tested. And they are significant. That's why I'm watching them. So keep that in mind. Now, looking at the RSI, it doesn't look the best. We have it crossing above the signal line and bouncing off of it and then continuing to the upside. Not what you want to see if you want to see this go down, because this is a bullish looking RSI, which is bad for us. So now, I mean, again, we'll have to wait 3 days and see, but this is where I have my, breaks, and where I have, a little bit of hesitation. So that's why I'm saying wait until these major support levels if you're thinking of betting. Don't try to jump the gun. Don't try to catch a falling knife. Like, wait until these major supports. Ethereum, I would say at least 2370 and then 2170 for buying. And then Bitcoin, at the very least, 92K, because that's where it bounced off before. 92K, and then around 89K is where I'd place my bids. So I wouldn't be trying to rush anything. I'd be waiting till these levels. Now, let's talk about Solana, because a lot of people, Solana gained a crazy amount of traction whenever the Trump token launched. I'm sure you guys noticed it. Trump token launched, huge liquidity black hole. Everyone invested in Solana. Everyone bridged over. Everyone was trading. And that's when you had, after Trump, you basically had everyone trading memes on Solana for the foreseeable future. And that's why we saw a lot of other memes, i.e. like Brett's, like we had Animal ask about, and a few others that were underperforming because no one was on the base chain. No one was on these other chains. They were all on Solana. And that's why Solana went up to $296. And then since then, we've had more uncertainty in the market because basically we had a blow off top, right? So at the very least, we had a local top because you had the President of the United States launching a meme coin. You had everyone bull posting about Bitcoin and crypto. It was everywhere in the news. You had all these ETFs now, XRP ETF being applied for, Litecoin ETF, Doge ETF. I mean, you had all these things, all these bullish catalysts that have now come to fruition. You even had Trump mention a national digital stockpile reserve, which everyone was looking forward to. Now, was it, he didn't necessarily say, hey, I'm going to start a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and we're starting this on this date, they said they signed an executive order to start looking into it. So it's not the same as actually implementing it or having a date that you're going to start it. So for anyone that doesn't know, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is where the government is going to basically stockpile Bitcoin. They're projected to buy $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin every month for 2 years. That is a lot. But they haven't committed to it yet. They just signed an executive order that said they would look into it. So again, that's why you have this uncertainty in the market. That's why you have a lot of these tokens that are continuing to drop. Besides the tariff wars that's going on, like the whole tariff wars with Mexico and Canada, those got concluded, but then you have China's tariff wars where China implemented a 15% tariff on the US. And that's why you had the drop that we had. And then there's still not any certainty with that. So hopefully Trump has a meeting with President Xi of China and they come to an agreement, and then they'll create a little short-term catalyst to the upside. But in the meantime, if you're trading Solana, wait until $180. Do not place any bids right now. Wait until $180. Place your limit orders. If you guys have any questions about placing limit orders, I do actually have a video on Blowfin. So here you can see complete Blowfin tutorial, how to trade on Blowfin. So I have a video here. So make sure you guys are checking this video out if you're wondering how to trade. Again, I have it in the description, a referral link. So make sure you guys are signing up for Blowfin. You'll get some free money as well if you sign up. But yeah, it's a great exchange. And again, I have a full tutorial on that. But looking at Solana, yeah, guys, don't rush to bet here. 180 is the minimum I would look to bet. And then below 180, 160. So place your limit orders at 180 and 160 because chances are if we blow through 180, we're going to go to 160. That's just how it is. So it's held support. 180 has held support since December of last year. It was resistance in October. And since then, it's held a support. That's why 180 is such a significant level. So make sure you guys are placing limit orders, limit buys at 180. Again, low leverage. I'm not talking 10, 20x, 3x leverage max because this market is so volatile. But yeah, 180, 160 is a good level for Solana. And then what I look for as resistance, I would look at $200. So 200 is the big line in the sand for Solana. Anyone who's trading it, if it gets above 200, bullish. If it gets below it, bearish. That's just the name of the game. And so 200 is very significant. Hopefully we can close above it fairly soon. But yeah, 180 would be a good buy level in my opinion. Now also we have Ondo. So Ondo is one of the top RWA platforms. So for Ondo, I would say 120 if you can get it. But one thing to keep in mind is they do have their conference today, I believe. Let me go ahead and type in here. So the Ondo Summit. So the Ondo Summit, I believe this is February 6th. Again, Ondo, yep, February 6th. So Ondo has been very bullish. There's been a lot of people buying it. You can see how much it's outperformed versus other tokens. Now, people are thinking this Ondo Summit may be a sell the news event. It could be. If we look at, if we look at the hourly though, this was just the drop that everything else had on February 2nd. So Ondo has still been holding up. I think, in my opinion, if there's no token integration announced at the Ondo Summit, then we're going to see it drop. Everyone is waiting for that because Ondo, for anyone who doesn't know, I mentioned a top RWA token, real world asset token, but BlackRock supports it, and there's a lot of talk of them being with BlackRock. So that's why Ondo has continued to outperform. So that's why I'm saying if you're bullish on the RWA narrative, Ondo could be a good token to hold, but 120, a good level of support. Also, just below that at 112 is a 200 EMA. We mentioned how these EMAs can act as resistance and support. So yeah, for Ondo, I would just, again, tentatively still bullish, but I would wait until after today when there's clarity with the Ondo Summit. And if they announce more token integration, then that could be a further catalyst to continue higher. Okay, so yeah, 120 for Ondo. And then if it gets below 120, then I would look at about 80, call it 85 cents. I think that'd be a good level to place bids at because it did act as support, resistance back in September. So yeah, it's a strong level here by 85 cents. So keep an eye on that. And then resistance, you still got 140. But the bigger resistance levels would be 163 because it did reject off of this a couple times. And then the biggest being 204 near those all-time highs. Now looking at some questions in the chat. So again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Let's see. CMT says, what do you think about Litecoin? So Litecoin is an interesting one because there was an ETF posted about Litecoin. And I know everyone, is thinking that eventually Litecoin is going to outperform because usually it's the last coin that outperforms after, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, etc., which Litecoin did do somewhat well. I mean, in the beginning of this year, in January, we saw it went from $95 to a high of $140. So it's over a 50% move. But it couldn't sustain it. The attention was short-lived, and now we retraced. For Litecoin, I would say a good support would be, almost where it's at right now. I would say around $98, $99, because it was support previously, was resistance, now turned support. So yeah, around $100 potentially could be a good bid. And then below that, I would look at $89. So 89 be a good level. And then below that, let's actually go on the daily chart here, so it's a little bit clearer for you guys. But yeah, I would say probably 98. So 98 is a little bit safer bet there. And then, yeah, around 89. And then below that, I would look at 75. So the daily doesn't look that bad because the stock RSI is oversold, but the RSI is curving to the downside about 41. So still some potential downside here on Litecoin. So yeah, I wouldn't place, 98, you could say maybe DCA at 98, but place a lot of your orders at around 89, because that's where we had, bounces in the past. But yeah, like I said, guys, 3x leverage max for Blowfin. I wouldn't go any more than that, especially in this volatile market. And then just be ready to take profits at those major resistance points until there's more clarity, more certainty in the market. So for Litecoin resistance, I would say 114 would be big resistance because it was support here. So turn resistance. And then above that, 130, and then followed by 137. So that'd be my bet on Litecoin here. Let's see what else we got for questions. Hio Edit says, what's happening with ETH? Is alt season going to start? Presidential rug pull. Melania's even crazier. Yeah. Yeah, so it's crazy because when Trump announced his coin, we have, the market was doing great, but then Melania launched a coin, and everyone argues that Melania destroyed the market. I would say there is some credence to that, because then you had a fragmentation of liquidity. Half people were selling Trump to buy Melania, and then a lot of people who missed out on Trump were buying Melania, but then Melania only went about a 3 or 4x from when most people got in it, and then it died from there, as well as Trump died. And basically you had all these fake tokens coming out for the Barron token, the Eric Trump token, and that was what I thought was going to happen. I thought that, okay, now Melania launched, Barron is going to launch his, and you had so many fake Barron tokens, but which actually some of them did do well, but you never had the official one. And then it basically just created this whole, again, fragmentation of the market where everyone was just diversifying into all these different meme coins, and it kind of destroyed the Trump token and the Melania token as well. So yeah, no, I agree with you there. Is the Melania token did cause a lot of damage to the market. But yeah, I just went over Ethereum there. Again, hopefully Ethereum should outperforming. When Ethereum starts outperforming, that's when we're going to see an alt season start, in my opinion. Until then, more chop, more uncertainty. Memes are going to pump here and there, but again, take profits ASAP, because that's kind of what the market, the main narrative is at this moment, is a very rotation heavy market. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. So Hio said, how stupid is it to think that alt season will start in March, or at least ETH at 3,500? No, I don't think that's a bad assessment. I think that March is still possible. In my opinion, I thought we were going to start earlier. Now, if you look at Bitcoin returns, is another metric. There's a lot of data that I look at, guys. So CoinGlass is a great website. If you guys aren't looking at CoinGlass, highly, highly recommend it. I'll go ahead and post a link here as well. But they have a lot of good data, a lot of good things for you to look at to help predict market movement. But you can see here the Bitcoin monthly returns. So January was 9%. February, it's negative 5% right now. But if you look at February and March for the past 4 years, it's been green. And so, needless to say, if we are having, some type of fractal versus 2021, potentially we could see a green February and March, right? A green Q1. Now, of course, right now it doesn't look as good, but guys, we're only 6 days into February. Still 3 weeks left. So still a long ways to go. And what I would say is still tentatively bullish for February and March. So like you said, Hio edits, I think that there's still a possibility that we still maintain, we still close green in February. So yeah, I'm still holding out hope. But again, a lot of that depends on what's going on with these whole tariff wars with China, potentially the EU, and then also what is happening with crypto, right? If the government announces some clarity with a strategic Bitcoin reserve and actually commits to it versus just looking at it, which they're doing right now, that's when we'll really start to see some bullishness in the market return. And that's when we'll start to see some liquidity back in the market. Also, another catalyst that you guys need to be watching is whenever the federal government ends quantitative tightening, whenever they end QT. So if anyone who doesn't know, QT is basically when the Fed is continuing to cut, they're really not injecting any liquidity in the market. But whenever QT ends, that's when you have the stimulus start, QE, quantitative easing, and then that's when you have basically the money printers turned on, as they say. So watch for the Fed to end QT, which at the FOMC meetings, I'll go ahead and talk about this too. The next FOMC meeting is going to be March 19th. Now, keep an eye on this March 19th date because it's still a month and a half away. But whenever we get here, hopefully the Fed ends QT, they cut interest rates, and then that's when, everything, alt season can start. In my opinion, that's when alt season is going to start. Until then, could be a little chop until then. But yeah, like I said, looking at the data, we have historically Q1 has been bullish. So I'm hoping for this number to turn green sooner rather than later. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Hype. So Hype is another token that I'm extremely bullish on. So for those who don't know, Hype, it is, the Hyperliquid token, which is call it decentralized exchange of sorts, perps exchange, where there's basically all the liquidity you could want, and they really aren't tied down to certain entities. It's kind of, they're running their own thing, so to speak. But Hyperliquid is launching Hyper EVM very soon. So again, I'll go ahead and go towards, you can even see it's been a top gainer over the past few days. So let's go ahead and go to the website so you guys can just see, for anyone who doesn't know what Hyperliquid is. It says the blockchain to house all finance. Crypto is fragmented today, but it doesn't need to be. For the first time, build projects, create value, and exchange assets on the same hyper-performant chain. So again, it basically aggregates all of that liquidity onto one chain. And there's no VCs, no one holding a lot of tokens. So that's why it has been so bullish, and that's why people are very bullish on it and continuing to buy it even during this chop. So Hyper EVM is going to come out soon. Exchanges are going to have to list it. There's going to be a huge bullish catalyst and a huge pump in it, in my opinion. That's what people have been buying it ahead of. There's no affirmative date on Hyperliquid EVM, but it's supposed to be happening in Q1. So watching it very closely on that front. So right now, you can see that right now it's just above its support of $23. So if you're looking to buy Hyperliquid, again, I know the daily looks a little choppy right now, but around 23 isn't a bad level, but really I would say $20 is the bread and butter trade. So don't rush to buy it. Again, if you're not in it right now, I'd place some limit orders at $20. So on Blowfin, again, link is in the description. Sign up there and place limit orders at $20. If you're wondering how to use Blowfin, I have a video here. It's the video I posted a month ago. Very good tutorial there. But yeah, place limit orders at $20, 3x leverage, really good area here. The RSI right now is still curving to the downside. It crossed below the signal line on the daily. So that's why I'm saying don't rush to buy at 23. Wait until it gets to 20 because it's very, very possible, especially with the stock RSI. Still more room to the downside. So yeah, $20 limit on Hyperliquid. Then resistance is $27.30. So watch this level, and then $32 is the next major resistance after that. And then after, look at $35. So keep an eye on these levels. But yeah, 20 is the money trade in my opinion. Gonna be very good support there. Now looking at some other questions. CMT says, will the stream be uploaded to Telegram? So CMT, this stream will actually be uploaded to YouTube on my channel. So feel free to watch it there. I can upload it on Telegram as well. I should have posted this more on Telegram to get people, started. But being the first stream back, I'm kind of making sure I have everything ready. And then I'll start posting it across all my socials. I'll start going live on X and really we'll get moving. But this is kind of the first stream back. So I just wanted to do it on YouTube just so that, want to make sure everything went well. But yeah, now this will be posted across all socials. Visual Takes says, damn, just missed you going live. Just tuned in now. What's been the altcoin lowdown? Yeah, so Visual Takes, the altcoin lowdown right now has been wait until major support levels. Don't rush to buy any altcoins right now. There's still uncertainty in the market. For Bitcoin, I'll just do a quick recap for anyone who's just joined recently. Bitcoin, wait until at least 92K. That's going to be your major support levels here where it's balanced. 92K and then potentially 89K. Looking for a sweep below 90s. So 92 and 89, good limit orders on Bitcoin. For Ethereum, good limit orders are going to be 2370 where it's bounced in the past, so don't rush to buy it. 2370 and then 2170. So good buy levels for Ethereum. And then for, let's see, also USDT dominance I talked about. I want to see it close below 4.5% on the weekly, because then that'll mean, okay, we could have some more bullishness, people then getting out of stables, investing back into Bitcoin and altcoins, then we could resume the uptrend. So yeah, hopefully we reject in 3 days at this 4.5% level. And then Solana, I was saying everyone needs to place limit orders at 180. Very good support level for Solana, and then 160 as well. So 180 and 160. Ondo, wait to see what happens with the conference today. If they announce the token integration at the conference, could be very bullish for Ondo. Until then, it may be a sell the news event, but good support for Ondo is 120 and then 83 cents. And then Hyperliquid, good support is around $20 for there, because Hyper EVM is going to be launching soon. Exchanges are going to have to buy it. They're going to have to list it. There's going to be a lot of buy pressure on Hyperliquid. So yeah, going to be a good catalyst on there, but that's a lowdown on that. Let's see. Hio Edit says, bro, I hate alts. Even Colin, the guy from Luke Belmar, is down 7 figs on his portfolio, which is crazy. Yeah, a lot of people are taking hits on their portfolio. Like, a lot of guys I know are down 7 figs, 6, 7 figs. It's crazy. Because, again, we're in a very rotation-heavy market. And that's the thing, guys. Like, when you're trading this market, especially now, I'll be the first to say it. This cycle is probably the hardest cycle we've had. Like, I've been here since 2017, and the amount of times we've rotated from altcoin to altcoin and how much meme coins have dropped after they've pumped literally just a few hours after is insane. Like, it's a very rotation heavy market right now. Nothing is sticking. I mean, AI, that narrative kind of stuck for a few weeks, but even AI is now falling to the wayside, and you have like some random memes that are launching here and there. Right now, I would say the main people who are in charge, quote unquote, of the meme coin markets is, I mean, I know Tyrell, the crypto king, he's very big into streaming in the trenches, 24/7. Awesome guy. Follow him on his YouTube, follow him on his Telegram. You also have FaZe Banks. So the whole vape cabal, right? The whole vape cabal has been really controlling the meme coin market recently. So Banks has his token MLG, which MLG is another big token. We'll go ahead and go over that real quick, and then I'll cover the other people. But yeah, MLG is one of the strongest meme coins I've seen. You could say there's ties, you know, look similarities to like SPX and other coins, but I even drew this trend line on it because a lot of big whales I know are in MLG, because FaZe Banks, again, one of the leaders, you could say, a FaZe clan, he's been promoting this. Aiden Ross had it on his stream a couple days ago and bought, I think, 50K worth of MLG. Frank D Gods, he's been buying MLG. You have Thread Guy has been buying MLG. Like, a lot of people have been supporting it. So right now it's at 108 mil. It's kind of their token. So imagine them to keep talking about it. But yeah, for MLG, I'd say if you can get it near 93, 9.3 cents, maybe good level because it's been bouncing. But really, I would look at 6.5 cents and 5 cents if you can buy it near here. So 50 to 60 mil would be a good buy levels for MLG. But as I was saying, FaZe Banks is one of the main characters for CT right now. Also, Frank D Gods, if you aren't following him, he's been one of the main characters. And then also Thread Guy as well. So Thread Guy has been one of the main people. He's been having a lot of good streams with people. So if you aren't following Thread Guy, it's not Thread Guy for his @ yeah, a lot of good people there that have just been really controlling this meme market. And, you know, like him or hate him, it's where the attention's at right now. So make sure you guys are following some of the main characters of CT, because that's where the attention is going to be at. But yeah, I feel your pain. I feel your pain, guys. A lot of people are down big, down bad, I should say. So yeah, just wait it out right now. Place those limit orders at these major support levels like I've been saying, because when the market's crashing, you're not going to want to buy. That's why you place the limit orders, low leverage, and forget them. Let's see. Shawcat says, not sure if it's something to be proud of or to be rugged by the leader of the free world. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy seeing the Trump token. You know, like I said, I thought it would be doing a lot better, but it hasn't. And I guaranteed everyone was caught off sides with this downturn. Everyone. I don't think anyone predicted it was going to drop as much as it did. At the very least, I was predicting $20 to hold, but it didn't. And now I've just been down only. So yeah, if we break this 1660 level, then I'm looking for at least $15 followed by $10. It wouldn't be good at all. Visual Take says, thanks, bro. I was going to ask about good levels to get into Sol. We'll get some limit orders at those 180 and 160. Love your Telegram also, man. Appreciate it. Hey, appreciate that, Visual Takes. Always try to provide as much data as I can on the Telegram. Again, if you guys aren't following my Telegram, it's in the description as well. Data's Inner Circle. Beware of scammers. I'll never DM you first. I just post content in that Telegram, voice notes, and everything in between. Hey, what's going on, Arm Wrestling TV? Glad to see you here. For anyone who doesn't follow or subscribe to Arm Wrestling TV, definitely do so. Alex Top Roll, great guy. The guy's actually really good at arm wrestling. So his brother as well is super good. And his brother, a lot of people call him Schoolboy. The guy is crazy. They're winning a lot of competitions. Definitely follow them. They have over, I believe, over 1 million subscribers. So, yeah, great stuff. Glad to see you here, man. It's been a while since we talked. So, this market's been crazy. I hope you've been holding up. Yeah, right now I'm just waiting until, we get some more traction in the market, till there's some positive catalyst. Again, like the government committing to a strategic Bitcoin reserve and then start buying Bitcoin. Or we have quantitative tightening ends, or interest rates start lowering again. Like, there's a lot of different catalysts that can cause this market to surge higher. But until then, at least at the very, get some more clarity on the China tariffs, I would say we may continue to chop here. But looking at some other charts, let's look at Bitcoin dominance. So this is another one that people should be looking at, because it does predict, how Bitcoin is going to react versus altcoins. And I actually posted this not too long ago, where I talked about the last time that Trump imposed these tariffs was in 2018. So again, make sure you guys are looking at the data, because again, while history doesn't repeat, it often rhymes. So last time when Trump had tariffs imposed, in March 2018, he imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum from most countries, which according to Morgan Stanley covered an estimated 4.1% of US imports. So look what happened. When he imposed tariffs, Bitcoin's price went from 10K all the way down to 7K in 1 month. That's a 30% drop. Could we be seeing the same here? It's possible. It says in June 2018, this was extended to the European Union, Canada, and Mexico. So in June, you can see we dropped from 7,500 to 6,300. So that was around a, 20% drop in June. So now, if we go to the chart here, whenever Trump imposed tariffs on Canada and Mexico, Bitcoin was at 102K. We dropped all the way down to 92K. So that was only a 10% move. So that's why, yes, we did resolve those issues. We came to an agreement. So we halted the tariffs for a month for Canada and Mexico. But now you have China imposing tariffs on the US of 15%. That was announced a couple days ago. So could we potentially still drop more in February? It's possible. Right? And so that's why we're not out of the woods yet. Until we come to an agreement with China and probably the EU, we may have a potential drop here. But like I said, this 92K level is very, very important. We need to hold this level. Otherwise, things could get ugly. That's when people start looking at 72K. But yeah, so that's why I also wanted to talk about this as well. But I did mention I was going to cover the Ansem fractal. So Ansem posted a fractal of 2021 Bitcoin. And it does look eerily similar to what we're seeing now. So let me see if I can bring that up real quick. I actually have it in another Discord chat. So let me pull that up real quick. It's on the other screen here. I have 3 monitors I'm looking at. So one second. Okay, here. I'm going to bring them up now. Open link. Okay. So this is the... this is kind of... Hold on. Let me see if I can get a better one. Let's see. Actually, I think I have it also in... Sorry, guys. Almost done here. I think I have the fractal in another... So, yeah, here we go. Okay, so you guys can see here, this 2021 fractal. So basically where we're at right now is right about here. So you can see that it rose, and then we started dropping... Call it in towards April, and then we had that huge drop afterwards. Now, if you look at the current kind of where we're at right now, I'll go ahead and open the second chart here. Give me 2 seconds. Whoops, that's 2021 again. Okay, here, this one. So Ansem posted this whenever we were at 103K, and how we had kind of 3 tops, and then we started dropping afterwards. Now, if you look at this, and then look at this, right? 3 drops and then drop. So it's literally, it's outlined in black. And the black line is the 2021 fractal. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's not looking good. I mean, the fact that right now we're at, what are we at? About 96K. So we're about right here, right? It's looking a little similar. Then potentially having a bounce middle of February and then potentially dropping more there. So that's why I drew this 73K level, because it was a previous all-time high back in 2024. So yeah, this very well could happen. Again, this would wreck a lot of people, but just something to keep in mind. So yeah, always watch these fractals, guys, because again, like I said, history doesn't repeat, but it often does rhyme. So just something to keep in mind on that front for Bitcoin. Now, let's see. Hio Edit says, I will never join crypto ever again, only BTC in the future. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, Bitcoin is the end-all, be-all. A lot of governments and institutions have been buying Bitcoin. That's why it's been outperforming versus a lot of other alts. So we're talking about looking at Bitcoin dominance. I mean, the thing with dominance right now, let's go ahead and look at the weekly chart, is, let's see, actually, no, this is Bitcoin's chart, sorry. Let's go and look at Bitcoin dominance. So BTC.D is the dominance chart. So when Bitcoin dominance rises, usually you have a bleed or chop in altcoins. So what Bitcoin dominance is, it measures Bitcoin's total market cap when compared to the rest of the crypto market, altcoin market cap. So for example, Bitcoin's market cap is 61.8% of the entire crypto market cap. That's what this is saying. And so what this means is market cap rises whenever price rises, right? Technically, but this percentage, if Bitcoin dominance is increasing, that means people are still holding Bitcoin and selling off all their altcoins. Or at the very least, they're selling Bitcoin a little bit less than they're selling all their altcoins. That's why you have this dominance increasing. So what you want to see is you want to see this dominance decline, because the last time we saw Bitcoin dominance decline, you can see what happened with the market. I spent a lot of time measuring this. Basically, when you have a decline or a drop in Bitcoin dominance, you have Ethereum rise much more versus Bitcoin. That's when you have Ethereum outperforming. That's when you have alt season. So for example, in 2019, when we had Bitcoin drop, the Bitcoin dominance drop, we had Ethereum rise 136% versus Bitcoin over the next year. Then in 2020, you had alt season. You had Bitcoin dominance drop, rejected off this resistance level. So that's why it pays to draw these support resistance lines. Bitcoin dominance dropped, and then you had ETH rising 77% versus Bitcoin over the next month. And then over the next 8 months, Ethereum rose 150%. So all throughout 2021, you had Ethereum just going crazy and alts were flying as Bitcoin dominance was dropping, because people were getting out of Bitcoin and investing into altcoins. Therefore, Bitcoin's market cap dropped in relation to the altcoin market cap. And so what I'm looking for now is, one, this resistance holding here at 62.8%, because it was resistance in the past. Previous support turned resistance. And what I mentioned before is anytime we had resistance, like in 2019, that acted as resistance as well in 2020, 2021, and then we had alt season. So I'm hoping this holds as resistance, this level here. Now, this isn't technically, you could say, as significant, because we don't have this huge, full drop and then basically inverse V-shaped afterwards. But nonetheless, it is resistance. So let's hope that this is the top here at the 63% level, and then we can continue to reject afterwards. But just looking at the RSI, I mean, the RSI is still crossing to the upside on the signal line, and it looks like it still has some room to go, especially with the stock RSI. So what I would say is we may have another week or two where dominance is continuing to increase. So not what I want to see, but just trying to be realistic here. Now, if we look at the daily chart, the stock RSI is topping out and the RSI is topping out. So what this means is we could have some temporary relief before continuing higher. So that could mean Bitcoin dominance maybe has a little chop, maybe down a little bit before continuing higher. And, once this gets potentially this level and then bouncing from there. So could potentially happen like this. But nonetheless, if we do end up rising over the next few weeks, and then we have something like this, where finally we get up here and then we reject towards the middle, end of February, then that's when we can start that alt season, or at least at the very least have some pump in the market. So that could potentially happen, because remember, the RSI can stay oversold or overbought for extended periods of time, just like it did here, right, in November. And then, but usually it doesn't stay overbought for that long for Bitcoin dominance. So imagine maybe, again, for here, it was from October 28th until November 6th. So is that just a little over a week? So it got above it February 3rd. So call it February 10th. Maybe we could see it top right around February 10th here and then drop afterwards. And so these are the things I'm looking at. But yeah, hopefully we can see a rejection here. And then after that, based off the weekly chart, then I would look at 60% holding as support. If we break through that, then things can get interesting. So yeah, watching Bitcoin dominance as well. Let's see, looking at the other questions. Visual Take says, do you think we could continue down into next week? When would you predict these limit orders may hit if they do? Yeah, no, it's very possible we could continue down. Like, I would say it's more possible that we continue down versus up at this point. Now, what I'm watching is just the tariffs, right? And I'll go ahead and bring those up because a lot of people may not understand tariffs, may not understand what's exactly going on. Tariffs, think of them as another, like, a tax on imports or exports, okay? So if there's, let's just say that someone puts tariffs on the United States. Well, that means that whenever the United States is importing goods from that country, they're going to have to pay a higher tax. Therefore, those items are going to be more expensive for the average consumer. That's why tariffs are bearish, right? At least for whatever country is getting tariffed. So that's why whenever China imposed tariffs, you had a drop in the market because that would mean goods would be more expensive in the US. Therefore, people would spend less money on crypto, or they would have less money to spend on crypto and other investments, other risky assets. And so, yeah, that's when you see a temporary pullback in the market before things stabilize, and then people get used to them, and then we have another rise. So it says, February 4th, someone asked Trump, what's your reaction to China's retaliatory tariffs? Trump said, that's fine. It's fine. We're going to do very well against China. So, yeah. So, again, Trump plays hardball with a lot of these countries. He imposed tariffs on Canada and Mexico. They imposed tariffs on the U.S. He called them, came to an agreement, basically said, hey, if you guys help support our borders, help stop the spread of fentanyl into the country, we'll pause the tariffs. That's actually what happened. So, like him or hate him, he's a good negotiator. So, that's why we saw a pause in the tariffs, and that's why we had that pump in the market afterwards. So, I assume the same thing is going to happen with China. He's going to have a talk with President Xi. They're going to come to an agreement. They're going to pause the tariffs. And China, you know, whatever. U.S. is going to buy more from China. I don't know. Whatever agreement he's going to come to an agreement with. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see because this was only 2 days ago. So we still have a while. But yeah, I do think it's possible until we get more clarity with these tariffs. Then, yeah, we could see some more chop in the market. So that's why placing those stables at those major support levels is most advantageous. Let's see. Hio Edit says you have to be extremely knowledgeable to be actually profitable. Yeah, you do. In this market, you have to be knowledgeable, but you also have to be emotionally stable. And I actually posted something on my X account at the CryptoData. If you guys aren't following it, I posted here. I said, I see a lot of people getting burnt out on crypto lately. If there's one thing I can recommend is to focus on your health. And guys, this is very important. Like, health is wealth, literally. Like, if you don't take care of your body's not going to take care of you. And so I recommend this to everyone watching. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, preferably 8 hours. Eat organic food. It matters. Pesticides and all those things that they add to food, the hormones, it affects your body and it affects how you think. It may sound taboo, but it's true. Organic food costs an extra couple dollars. Buy it. Spring filtered water. Don't drink tap water. Tap water's got lead. It has all these bad contaminants in it. Filter your water, even if it's just a Brita water filter. Something is better than nothing. But yeah, drink spring water or filtered. Try not to drink out of plastic bottles because they have a lot of toxins in them whenever you get that heat that's heating it up. So again, all this stuff all comes together to help with your mental state. Exercise, very important. Get organized. If you're in your office, if you're not organized, you need to be. Because if your office is cluttered, your mind is going to be cluttered. If your room is cluttered, your mind's going to be cluttered. So like, do little things. Make your bed, clean your room. All of that stuff is going to help you perform optimally. And then get sun. If you're just staying inside all the time and not getting sun, it's very unhealthy. Sun gives you vitamin D. It's actually the feel-good chemical. So make sure you guys are getting that. But yeah, it pays to actually do all this stuff and take care of yourself because a lot of people are getting burnt out. So that's the highest thing I recommend is take care of yourself and then your body will take care of you. Looking at some more questions. Let's see. Hio Edit says, hey, I try to do what I can. Appreciate it. Young Samurai, hey, can you teach on how to analyze new meme coins and how to plan an exit strategy? Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's just go to MLG. I mean, MLG is one that I said it's very bullish. So for meme coins, now when you're trading meme coins, usually people are trading on the lower time frames. like the 1 minute, 5 minute, etc. So when I'm looking at a meme coin, a couple things I'm doing is, one, I'm looking at the volume. So yes, people can have volume bots, they can artificially increase the volume, but nonetheless, volume gets attention because we live in an attention-driven economy. You know, with people watching TikTok, Instagram, like everyone is ADHD nowadays. And so if you can find where that attention is going, i.e. with volume, if there's a lot of volume, there's going to be people who actually have these volume bots that monitor these meme coin launches. And if there's a lot of volume, they'll start looking at these memes, and they'll start, you know, seeing if they have any staying power, if they're legitimate, if there's a lot of buying pressure, etc. And then they may start to get in it. So I like to look at volume. I look at liquidity. Is liquidity good? Because if liquidity is good, i.e. if it's like 500K, a million, 2 million, that means there's going to be less slippage. So slippage is the price that you actually place an order to buy versus the price you actually get executed at. Meaning, if you wanted to buy MLG at 1.3 cents, but you get filled at 1.5 cents, that's the slippage. Now, that could be due to a lot of things. There's volatility, obviously. So if people have bots that are faster than yours, then that they get executed fast. Or just if there's not enough liquidity, then, you know, you basically have you're buying what's only on the order book. So if there's not many coins for sale at 1.3 cents, maybe there's a lot more at 1.5, etc. So I look at liquidity. I also see if liquidity is locked, if the tokens are locked. So what you have to look for, go to the X account, right? Go to the X account of the meme coin that you're trading. Is the dev locking the tokens? Because if he's locking his supply, very bullish. That means he's committed to the project. So I look at that. I look at if the dev is locking tokens, which you can also, when you audit the contract address, even at the very least, looking here at the audit, if there's any issues, also going to GMGN, it's another good analytical tool that can help you. And then also going to rugcheck.xyz. That's also another one that is bullish for checking if meme coins are rugs or not, which actually here, I'll just post this here so you guys can see. So rugcheck.xyz is another one. So it's a meme coin, what do you call it? Contract address checker. Okay. I mean, you can use it for any contract address, not just meme coins, but most people use it for memes. So for example, if you post, or if you copy, so right here, MLG, you copy the contract address, you go to rugchecker.xyz, paste it, check. It's going to tell you risk analysis. Okay, it's good. Cool. It tells you LP locked 50%. It tells you the top wallets, which supply they have. And then it tells you, you know, right here, the top holders, how much supply the top holders have. If the top holders have a large supply, like I'm talking over 30% in the top 10, that's when you want to be a little apprehensive, because usually there's a lot of insiders and there's a lot of bundling going on in the beginning. So I'm looking at the contract address, looking at the top holders, looking at the X account. Is the X account active? Do I have any mutual follows with the X account? Because if you don't have any mutual follows, 9 times out of 10, the project's probably a scam. It's probably a new token, a new X account that's launched. They're probably just trying to rug you. So that's the only thing I'd say about that. Unless you're extremely early and all the other metrics check, I would be wary if you don't have any mutual follows. But again, that is assuming that you have a lot of good followers in the first place. So if you guys want to go to my profile at the CryptoData and you want to go to my following and you want to just follow everyone that I'm following right now, then you can do that as well. Now, I know you can't see all of my followers, but you can follow some. So, yeah, also in my Telegram, if you guys aren't in my Telegram as well, go ahead and join that. And if you actually click the pin message, if you keep clicking the pin message, I actually have here, let me show you guys real quick. So I actually have here, right here. So you can see if you go to my pin message and you go to the first one, you'll see that I have a lot of resources for you guys to use. So I have all of these different exchanges and then all these different accounts here. Focus on this, reputable crypto Twitter accounts. Follow all of these accounts if you can. And then also these YouTube accounts, very good as well. And so, yeah, a lot of good people there. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that's all the analysis I would go at for a meme coin if you're thinking of trading memes. And then at that point, I would look at, I'd start charting it, because on good meme coins, they're going to respect these support and resistance levels. So for example, I'd put resistance here, and then, you know, if it bounces, say at this level here, I would look at buying. And then if it comes back down, boom, 1.8 cents, buy. And then that's when you look at, okay, previous resistance turns support. So if it can break this, I'll be looking to buy here. So I'd buy at these levels, and then it continues higher from there. So that's what I'd be looking at. I go to the 5 minute, the 15 minute. I pull up the RSI as well. When the RSI gets oversold on the 5 or 15 minute low time frames, people buy. Even on the 15 minute here, the RSI is oversold. These meme coins bounce, right? Like, don't ignore these guys. These easy indicators that you can be looking at. When the RSI is oversold, meme coin bounce. Like, it's very, very easy to see this. So, yeah, definitely good to have. But yeah, usually on the higher time frames, that's when you're going to see bigger bounces. So even on the hourly chart, I mean, I don't even think it got oversold here. I think it was barely above that 30 level because people were front running. And that's the thing as well. People front run a lot of these oversold levels. So if you're trying to buy when the RSI is under 30, you may not get there. Like even here, the RSI, let's see actually if it got below 30. I'm curious. So the RSI on the hourly got, yeah, 29.92. Literally, it got just below 30. And you saw this huge buy here from 7.8 cents all the way to a high of 24. So literally, you could have made over a 3x just looking at the hourly RSI when it was oversold. Literally, the only time it was oversold, I want to say since December 26th. So that's why it pays to watch these guys. Pays to watch it. Whenever there's high capitulating events, look at the RSI and the 1 hour, 4 hour daily on these meme coins. Usually it's a good buy. Okay. Next, let's see other questions. Visual Take says, what are the main indicators you use to track price movement? Great question. So if we go to, let's just go to Ethereum here. So the main indicators I like to use, RSI is a big one. I talked about it recently with meme coins. RSI is probably one of the best indicators you can use. Everyone uses it. It measures relative strength. So it's a relative strength index, RSI, measures price strength, and it can give you a good indication of when it's a good time to buy, i.e. when it's oversold below 30, or when it's a good time to sell, i.e. above 70. So when it's overbought. So just keep that in mind. RSI is a great one. Also, stochastic RSI, it tends to be respected. Now, what I will say with stochastic RSI is you're probably better off waiting until you have this blue line crossing above this orange line when it's oversold. So what I mean there is whenever you have here, like this crossover, when it's oversold below 20 level, then you start seeing a change in the trend because it can start to get to these oversold levels, but that may not be the bottom, right? It's a little bit lagging versus the RSI. So then whenever you have these crosses, like right here, that's when you have these prices rise. Whenever you have it cross above, yes, you did get a drop, but if you would have been ready on the second cross here, then you would have had the nice upswing here. And just like we're seeing here, okay, the blue line crossed over, but it could be crossing back to the downside. So either way, this may be a good spot to DCA, but it's probably going to cross back under and then cross back above, and then that's going to be the buy level that you're going to have. So yes, stochastic RSI is good. RSI, also moving averages. So I would say at the very least, the 50, 100, and 200 EMAs. If you have those usually act as good support resistance levels. So 200 EMA is probably the most important because everyone looks at it for long-term trends. But yeah, 50, 100, and 200 EMAs. RSI and stock RSI. Papel says, what are your targets for ETH and Sol in Q1 and Q3 this year? Great question. So for Ethereum, I did have a long-term trend line drawn similar to how I had on Bitcoin. If you zoom out here, you can see from the 2018 high, I had it drawn and it acted as resistance in May of 2021 and then acted as resistance in November of 2021. So if we're expecting a top in October of this year based off the global liquidity cycle, i.e. monetary policy in the macro environment, which is what dictates crypto's tops, nothing else, then what I would look for is a top near 8,400. So again, it seems like a long ways away. And for us to get there in October, I mean, we need to see some crazy price action. Yeah. So is it possible? Yes. Is it going to happen? Hard to say. I mean, I think it will. And I think Ethereum, once it starts taking off, once we start breaking above that long-term trend line on the ETH BTC chart, this one right here, that's when we're going to see alt season really start. So that's why you got to look at the different metrics. But yeah, Ethereum 8,400, and then for Solana, let me actually, because I haven't drawn that long-term trend line on Solana. Let me see if there's one to even draw. Yeah, I don't think. Let me see. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I would say maybe this one. Again, this is a stretch. Like, this is a big stretch. But if you're looking for somewhat of a guesstimate, then I would say maybe $350 for Solana. Again, I know it's not the $1,000 everyone wants to see, but realistically here, if you're just looking at trend lines, you know, maybe if this continues, maybe $350. So that'd be a realistic target. ETH 8,400, Solana 350, Bitcoin 117K, and yeah. So we could go higher, could go lower, but I'd say that's most likely conservative. For Q1, oh yeah, and then yeah, as well as I'll answer your Q1. So for Q1, Ethereum probably 3,500 Q1, and then Solana Q1, and then yeah, and then Q3 8,400. Solana Q1 probably I would say 250. So Solana Q1 250, and then Q3 350. Okay, next question. Papel says, let's see, yep, just saw that. Okay, yeah, so if you guys have any other questions, that was mostly what I want to talk about today. Again, just want to give you guys an overview of what's going on in the market with the tariffs, with the macro environment. And again, just to repeat, when I'm mentioning placing limit orders, make sure you guys are doing it on Blowfin. I have the link in the description. It's a great exchange, non-KYC. You don't need to use your ID. A lot of good people there. I met the CEO, met the founder. He's a great guy. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on that, I do have a tutorial right here, how to complete the Blowfin tutorial. So definitely go ahead and watch that. But yeah, it's a great exchange. And then also, like I said, with this market, just maintain patience, guys. Don't try to rush. Don't try to buy ahead of time. If you catch the trade, good. If not, that's fine too. If you're in spot right now, I mean, the best thing you can do is just hold, right? Hold it out. But I do think that eventually we still could have a good run in Q1, just based off of the data, just based off of the returns that we've had the past 4 years in February and March versus today. I do think there's a chance we could start outperforming towards the middle end of February, especially if there's more clarity with the Trump tariffs. And also, just in general, the whole sentiment is nearing all-time lows. I mean, you look at the fear and greed index, I think even that, let me see. So if you go to data, and then you go to the fear and greed index, right now it's at 49, so neutral. So again, it was in the extreme greed for a while. People were betting left and right. Now people are a little apprehensive. They're taking profits. They're waiting to enter. So I think that, staying in this neutral area of fear, good buying opportunities coming in the near future. Then also you have the liquidation levels. So today they're 235 million, nothing crazy. During that huge wick that we had to the downside where Ethereum went to 2,100, we actually got to over $2.2 billion of liquidations. And it was actually closer to 10 billion if you look at the Bybit CEO's tweet. But just based off a record, about 2.2 billion. So that shows you that a lot of people were getting liquidated. And right now, that's why they are sidelined. I mean, 200 million isn't anything crazy. And then looking at the liquidation levels here, near 88.3K, there's some liquidation levels. So that's why I mentioned we may go down to 89K or 88K for Bitcoin. So maybe have a sweep of the lows and then resume back to the upside. So that's a possibility, or at the very least, 92K. So always look at where liquidity's at, because usually that's where you're going to end up seeing, the market makers hunt for that liquidity and then eventually go back to the upside. But besides that, let's see. No problem, Papel. Glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, besides that, guys, that's all I got for today. Again, these streams will be Tuesday through Thursday at 12 p.m. CST. If you guys are free, highly recommend you join. Would appreciate it as well. Sharing this video around, following me on X if you aren't at the CryptoData, joining the Telegram. I have a lot of good resources on there. I provide updates nearly every day, as well as sign up for Blowfin on the link in the description. Really helps me out. Again, partnered with Crypto King. He's a really great guy. Follow him as well, the Crypto King _ on X. And then also, if you guys have any other questions, leave them in the comments of the video or leave a comment in my Telegram. I'll try to answer those questions as well as soon as I can. But thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you haven't. Appreciate all my subscribers. Until next time, I'll see you guys next week.